Good morning, Happy Valley, and welcome back to another edition of the Penn State 365 podcast on HappyValleyInsider.com. I'm your host, as always, Richie O'Leary, and joined when we're talking Penn State football recruiting, my co-host, Dylan Callahan-Crawley. Dylan, unofficial whiteout this weekend, whiteout energy. I don't know what you want to call it at this point. Just don't
Whatever the
call it
hell it
what,
is.
yeah, there you go. Just don't call it what Brett Bielema did. That went viral. That was cool for a moment.
Yeah, yeah,
I do want to touch on that later, but besides the point, this has kind of turned into like a really big recruiting weekend for Penn State, and there is just name after name on this list coming to campus this Saturday. Let's kind of break it down a little bit for everyone. Let's start with the 2025 class. I know a couple of the commits are coming, but there's a Purdue commit that is coming to campus.
yeah. Both myself and Dub Jellison of have Valiant side, but also our Purdue side have learned from multiple sources that it is expected as of right now that Purdue cornerback commitment slash defensive back potential safety uh, Dwayne Galloway, a four-star on Rivals, top 20 player in the state of Ohio, is right now expected to be on campus on Saturday for this unofficial whiteout for Penn State. So that is, as of right now, the expectation. We'll see if he does, in fact, show up to campus. He's been a guy in his recruitment that has been on many visitors lists. Sometimes he's shown, sometimes he's not. Penn State was in on him earlier in the cycle, had him scheduled for an official visit as they merged for some other people. That official visit ultimately didn't happen. But now with the Antonio Branch's decommitment, Penn State is kicking tires there. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a flip watch or a flip waiting to happen here. I think this is one where, we as a site, as recruiting writers, evaluate where Penn State and Galloway stand coming out of the weekend and go from there. But, following the Branch decommitment or flip to Colorado, and anytime a committed player elsewhere a player committed elsewhere visits, it's something worth noting and keep an eye on. So we'll be sure to keep an eye on that. But no, I would just say nothing imminent on that front outside of a visit.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on because this is his second time to campus. He actually committed to Purdue following a Penn State official in late June, June 21st, I think it was the weekend of, right?
Uh,
Or did he
do we
not make
still
that
have,
visit?
he did not make that visit. I don't know if
Okay, so he
yeah,
didn't
we
make that
still have it
visit.
on there, but he did not make that visit. It
Okay,
ultimately
gotcha.
got canceled.
Gotcha. But he did end up visiting Syracuse, West Virginia, and Purdue,
Yeah,
and Kentucky
he
this summer.
and from what I understand, that cancellation was on Penn State's end, not necessarily his end. He's always been very high on Penn State. I'm not sure Penn State's always been very high on him. Well,
Hmm.
obviously, if they canceled, they had other guys they had above him on their board.
Hmm.
But with the way things are going, it's definitely something that Penn State is at least going to check back in on here. But yeah, he's one of the big names on what is overall a really strong recruiting list for Penn State this weekend. Once I think most of the 2025 commitments will be on campus, so there should be well over 40, 50 plus legitimate FBS prospects on campus this weekend.
Yeah, another 2025 name I want to kind of talk about, and I know we didn't mention this off the pod when we were discussing what names specifically to mention, but Nair Graham's interesting from Lackawanna. He
Yeah.
was a really good out of high school. I remember watching him at Camden. He was actually committed to Maryland for a long time, and then ended up decommitting, which kind of tells you why he ended up at JUCO. But yeah, I mean that's got to be a name to watch. You would assume, right?
Yeah, it's an intriguing name to watch. We'll see how things continue to develop on that front. But you look at Penn State's linebacker depth going forward, and it's a little bit on the weaker side right now compared to where it's been in the years past.
Hmm.
Graham, being a Lackawanna college kid, you would hope as a JUCO prospect could be somebody who can maybe come in and make an impact a little bit quicker. Now, you look at Penn State right now this weekend, Anthony Spega could be making an impact as a true freshman. Tamir
Very true.
Robinson, a redshirt freshman, could be making an impact. So it's not that the young guys are not making an impact, but a little bit of depth, a guy who has at least some college experience, albeit at the junior level, place Penn State's had a strong relationship with over the years. Obviously, the last time they went and took a guy out there, Tyrese Mills, that has not worked out as well as some would have hoped, obviously. But yeah, I think Nair Graham is definitely somebody to keep an eye on here going forward just because of the depth at linebacker and could be a potential fit for Penn State.
2026 class. I'm looking now, one, two, three, four, five, around 15 different names. Maybe might hit the 20
Yeah, at
mark.
least 15. It's going to probably grow another, I would say, 7 to 12 guys, I'm guessing, could be added here. There's always last minute additions. And, with this being a 7:30 p.m. game,
Mm,
um, we could see last minute additions, from within the state, from New Jersey, New
yeah.
York, Maryland, anywhere around, the surrounding states, just because it is a later game. So it is, gives more people time to get to the game. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see not just 26, but 27, maybe even 20 more 28 kids added from around the region because of the late kickoff time. Non-regional kids, they are who they are. I don't think anything's going to be added there, but there are a couple non-regional kids that we'll talk about.
Mhm. Yeah. Right now, Penn State has 6 commits in the class, top five ranked class. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive end. Just going based off of that, it seems like it's pretty wide receiver heavy this weekend. You can argue cornerback heavy too, but those guys are kind of like athletes too, so they can kind of play both sides. But
Yeah.
anyone really stand out among that list?
Yeah, I mean, you got two of the top wide receivers in the entire country uh, coming. Well, one in 2027, one in 2026. But in
Mhm.
2026, Madden Williams, California, St. John Bosco, one of the top programs in the country, he's going to be out this weekend for an unofficial visit. We have confirmed top 100 player in the country, number 20 wide receiver in the country. It's going to be tough for Penn State to pull him out of California, or not even necessarily out of California, because there's always a chance he goes out of state. But it's going to be tough to pull him all the way to the East Coast. But Penn State has three California commits between their 2025 and 2026 classes. I believe Troy Hun, one of those 2026 commitments, is going to be back on campus this weekend as well. So that
Mhm.
will be beneficial in the Madden Williams sweepstakes for Penn State. But this isn't the first time we've heard about Madden Williams showing interest in Penn State. He's been to campus before, I believe, back in April. So I mean, it is a quality, high quality recruit, and something to note. We'll see how Penn State continues to progress in this recruitment. They've always been able to get these kids on campus. Sometimes it doesn't materialize, but sometimes in the cases of a Troy Hunt and a Darius Dixon, it materializes, and Penn State ends up in a pretty good spot. So we'll see where this one goes long term. But anytime you get a top 100 kid out of California on campus, that's big.
Yeah. Speaking of more local kids, I know Khalil Taylor has an offer technically there,
Yeah.
but he's got to be lower on the list right now just because they have two wide receiver commits already.
Yeah, and Khalil, actually we have him listed on the site in 2026. He should be in 2027.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
His profile is correct. We just have him on the wrong list.
Gotcha. Not a big deal.
But yeah, well, in 2027, I think he's a name definitely worth noting.
Hmm.
Um, Rogers, the Penn State commit, will be on campus this weekend with Williams as well.
Hmm.
Um, if I can't shift the focus to tight end quickly in that 2026
Yeah,
class,
go for it.
Colby Simpson, California prospect again, one of three California prospects on campus, another LA kid. This, I believe, is his second visit to Penn State as well. He was to
Mhm.
campus in June, um, and I'm just gonna make sure that he did not get offered on the site. We don't have him listed as an offer, but uh, okay, so he did not pick up an offer. It looks like when he visited in June, but that could definitely change in the near future. I think
Okay.
um, high talent, high ceiling kid, very talented. Speed maybe a little bit of a question. 4.8 40-yard dash when he camped earlier this year, um, but a kid who has multiple Power Four offers. He's been impressive. On tape in camp situations. But most notably about him is his mom is a former Penn State volleyball player. So if
Okay.
Penn State
Huh.
does eventually offer him, I'm not saying this is the kid's a lock to be at Nittany line, but it could be something worth monitoring a little extra closely because he does have that tie to Pennsylvania. And while we're at it, I'm gonna just talk about the third California kid here, just so
Yeah,
we
go
have
for
them all wrapped up.
it.
Lucas Roa out of uh, Lutheran in the Los Angeles area. Um, LA kid, but has a ton of ties to Penn State. So he's grown up a Penn State fan and all that. Has an offer from the Nittany Lions. So that's definitely something worth monitoring. Definitely not on commitment watch anytime soon, obviously. But
Mhm.
the fact that, this is a California kid with extensive Penn State ties, that could ultimately benefit Penn State in the long run if they stay in this one and if he is ultimately, long term cool with going far away from home. That being said, with 2027 prospects, it's, worth a little bit of, tapping the brakes. A long ways to go in their
Yeah.
recruitments, but also a long ways to go as their, as prospects. Some of these guys, it happens every cycle. A kid could be ranked top 100 in the country as a freshman or sophomore. By the time he's a senior, he's a mid-range three-star prospect, ends up at a middle of pack Power Four school instead of one of the nation's elites. So
Did
uh,
you just describe Jalen Matthews' recruitment
yeah, yeah,
to a T almost?
yeah, in a way, yeah, in a way I did. Um,
2026. I want to rewind a little bit.
yeah, go ahead.
Going back to that offensive line, there's obviously the one heavy hitter in Emmanuel Ahanachu. I'm gonna go Ahanachu. That sounds right.
He, yeah, I've heard it both
Cho?
ways.
I don't know. But top ranked offensive lineman in the 2026 class is expected to be on campus this weekend. How massive is that for Penn State to get him on campus, considering he's a local kid and he's number 5 nationally, has every single offer known the man, and he's number 2 offensive tackle in the country?
So, admittedly, I've been dragging my feet on an idea I had about listing the top 50 prospects on our site in the 2026 class for Penn State. Not in the eyes of Penn State, but in the eyes of us in terms of
Mm-hmm.
where the type of prospect they are, where they're from, what they would mean for Penn State, and he would be the number one prospect on that board for us when it does get released is Kevin Brown, already committed to Penn State.
Of course.
Um, Ian Nacho is going to be in either that number 2 or number 3 spot.
Okay.
He's an elite regional talent, the type of offensive lineman that you build your offensive line around for 3 years. I do apologize if you hear any cooing in the background as
It's all good.
my newborn is in the middle of going to sleep and finding
Tempting too.
yeah, attempting to go to sleep. Um, but Emmanuel Iheanacho,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Nacho.
mean
There we go.
6'7", 340. That's a massive human being. As
Hmm.
a,
Oh yeah.
a junior in high school, that's ridiculous. Number 5 in the country, top kid in Maryland. Yeah, I mean, elite talent. It's going to be hard to land him just because you look around. There's a lot of big programs out there who will be throwing a lot of money towards him. But I
Of
think if you're
course.
Penn State, you look at it, Georgetown Prep, very good school. I think you look at it, you look at him, you get him in contact with Olu Fashionu's family, and you have them sell him on Penn State. Very similar, uh, I Georgetown Prep, like Gonzaga, two high schools that really value academics. I'm sure if he's at Georgetown Prep, his family really values academics. Penn State is definitely one of the schools on his list that values academics at a high level as well. So I mean, if I'm Penn State, I'm just getting him in contact with the Fashanu family. But yeah, he's definitely one of the top guys on the board. And if you compare him with Kevin Brown, that would be a dream come true for Phil Troutwine. It'll be tough, but it's definitely not out of the question, I think, for Penn State right now either.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's gonna be bag chasing as much as, say, I don't know, Jordan Seaton did last cycle.
Right.
And obviously ended up at Colorado, started like day one. But now I do think he might be better. He might be better than Jordan Seaton.
Yeah, I think this is a rare offensive line. I have to watch his tape
Hmm.
a little bit
Very
closer.
talented though.
Very talented. Um, I mean, he's an offensive lineman that if he doesn't start all 4 years, is going to start 3 years and go to the NFL,
Hmm.
or 2 years and go to the NFL.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that you would expect to likely hang around for um, all 4 years. He's the type of guy who gets in, gets out, and goes to the NFL pretty quickly.
Sticking with the trenches a little bit, we know Penn State has a very good relationship with the Dexter School up in Massachusetts. They will
Yeah.
have Lineal Hall. I think that's how you pronounce it. Lineal Hall, 6'5", 320, 330 actually per his Twitter. Massive human being. We know that they have Kevin Brown at tackle.
Yeah.
They want Emmanuel Nacho at a tackle. They have other tackles on the board still as well, but I know he's listed as a tackle, but Hall just kind of screams more of a guard to me going forward.
Yeah, 6'5", 320. The weight stands out immediately to me at 320. I do
Hmm.
wonder if there's some maybe bad weight on. Not bad. I hate saying bad weight because it
When you're
makes it.
340 in high school last year, yeah, there's bad weight.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it's fair.
Neil Hall 320. Um, Probably need to knock off some of that weight. Maybe go. Uh, refine that weight a little bit
That's
more.
fine. Yeah,
Um,
turn more
But yeah, a
muscle.
quality regional prospect. You look at his offer sheet: Maryland, Miami, Penn State, Syracuse, Tennessee, West Virginia. So two non-regional schools there. But I think that offer sheet tells you what you need to know. This is a very good Power Four prospect who's going to end up at likely a very good Power Four program.
Hmm.
Definitely something worth monitoring in the 2026 class going forward at probably guard. At 6'5", 320, probably a guard. Uh,
Hmm.
so.
Well, we know that they like to hit that New England area quite a bit. Owen
Absolutely.
Alciani, obviously another Dexter School alum, and Liam
Yeah.
Andrews. So they love that New England area. So it's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. Going through the rest of this
Uh,
list.
I
Go on.
yeah. No, I'm just gonna go to well,
Yeah.
another. I guess another kid to kind of keep an eye on. You know more about him than I do. I would assume here is Roseby Lubintis
Yes.
out
Timber
of Timber
Creek,
Creek. Um, could
massive
be
human
could
being.
be somebody to worth watching. 6'7", 297. Penn State has been recruiting these massive
Hmm.
offensive tackles recently, especially height wise. 6'7", 297 fits the build here. I'm not sure of him as a prospect. Another guy I have to go watch a little bit closer, but could be another name I think worth monitoring in this 2026 class on the offensive line.
Yeah. No, he's got good size, and he's got really good size actually, and he holds it very well too. I think you could probably pack on another 15, 20 pounds of good muscle to him, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. I know they just offered. When did they offer? They offered a while ago, actually. I think it was back in March. They offered him, and it was interesting because when the kids tweet out these offers, they always tag the coaches that offer them.
Yeah.
He tagged both Troutwine and Dion Barnes, so there is some speculation that he could play a little defense. He does. He plays defense for his
Okay.
high school, but 6'7", 297. You're probably
Right.
hey, you're an offensive lineman, dude. Hate to break it to you, but very talented kid. Someone to keep an eye on if they do end up striking out elsewhere. I think he's personally a little bit lower on the board for Penn State, but that's kind of to be expected with the way that Troutwine's been recruiting lately, at least.
Yeah, the last 2026 guy I really want to mention, or
Hmm.
be sure to mention, is Jacob Witherspoon out of Avon, Ohio. Uh,
Okay.
One of the Penn State's top defensive targets in this 2026 class. We have him listed as a cornerback. I think maybe he's more of a safety at the next level, but honestly, he's a ridiculous athlete. He could probably play wide receiver at the next level if he wanted to as well, and be pretty damn good there as well. That being said, you going up against Ohio State here probably, if not Michigan as well. I think it's probably going to end up being one of those three schools. Notre Dame is always a threat for those guys as well. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's going to end up being a traditional, you know, race between those four schools for him. But ultimately, if Ohio State wants him, I always go through the idea. My philosophy on Ohio recruits is Ohio State has the right to first refusal. So
Basically.
if
Yeah.
Ohio State wants you and you're an in-state recruit, you're probably going to Ohio State. If Ohio State says we're good, then yeah, you probably end up elsewhere. Um, so I mean, with him, I'm gonna kind of retain that. If Ohio State wants him, I think Ohio State's likely gonna get him. But I think not if now that doesn't mean Penn State can't win this battle, even if Ohio State wants it. Penn State's done in the past, but it's definitely going to be a tough recruiting recruitment for Penn State to win if Ohio State does want Weatherspoon, depending on how badly they want him, I should say.
Yeah, the name I actually want to highlight in that 2026 class is Julian Peterson, top
Sure.
250 kid, Winslow Township. We know Winslow Township pretty well for the sole fact that Brandon Bell is their head coach. So,
Yeah.
our no, Bill Belton. Sorry,
Yeah, Bill Bell.
Wrong Penn State alum. Bill Belton is their head coach.
And Penn State has targeted several kids from Winslow,
Winslow.
even though so far it has not worked out with any of them, whether it's on the as a prospect, just not at that Penn State level, or obviously there was one. I'm blanking on his name right now, but
Mm, who
Johnny
was it?
Shakur.
Johnny Shakur. Yeah, I forgot about him. Where did he end up? It's a good question.
I don't think he. You talk about Peterson. I'll find
All
out.
right, Julian Peterson, super athlete. Technically can play wide receiver or DB at the next level. Going to play cornerback most likely. Could kind of transition to a safety because he keeps growing. He's
Yeah,
6'2", 180 right now. I think he's been to Penn State. I'm looking now a couple times. Most recently this past June. But he's got every offer in the book. Rivals 250 kid. Number
yeah,
4 in the state of New Jersey. If Penn State wants this kid, and with Bill Belton as the head coach, there's a very good chance they land him. Now, I know Georgia was also showing some interest in him, but that was more Fran Brown type stuff because we know Fran Brown is like great with South Jersey guys. But yeah, I think Penn State could very easily win this recruitment. I know he's only got like 13 offers actually right now. He should have more than that. That's crazy. Um, but yeah, no, Penn State's got a really good shot here, and it's his first trip for a game day. So get him
yeah,
to campus, to get him see how things go, and it's a top 250 kid. I mean, if he wants to commit, you come on board.
yeah. Johnny Shakur, by the way, it looks like ended up at Independence Community College in Kansas
Ooh,
uh, after a
uh,
year at East Coast Prep.
what the
Um,
hell is the name of that Netflix TV show? Bounce Back U, Redemption U,
Last Chance U.
Last Chance U. There we go.
Yeah,
I don't.
which Independence was featured on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they're there anymore though, or their head
Um,
coach is there anymore. I should say.
by the way, anybody who wants the full list of visitors can go to pennstate.rivals.com and find that visitors list there. We'll be sure to drop the link as well in the description of the video. And if you're not a subscriber, you can get a free 30 days right now if you sign up as well using
Promo code's
30
30,
rivals.
30
30
rivals. There we
rivals.
go.
Um,
All right.
should
Is there anyone else really you want to break down before we sign
uh,
off here?
let's move. Well, let's quickly touch on the 2027 class. Uh, yeah, let me quickly
You're
give
good.
this baby his bingy back
I'll
if
kick it
you want
off
to
real quick.
segue.
Yeah. Keemon Spell, 2027, running back commit for Penn State. Just got ranked recently. The 2027 rankings just came out, and he ended up, I think, 52. Yeah, 52 nationally. That's a hell of a good start for Penn State in the 2027 class. They will also be welcoming number 7 nationally, Jameer Brown, a wide receiver from Ohio. This kind of goes back to what Dylan was saying before in terms of Ohio kids. Ohio State has kind of first refusal.
Yeah,
This is good
especially
to get
with
him on campus.
especially
But
with kids his talent level.
I mean, wide receivers too. You look at the guys they've produced over the last couple of years. Between Garrett Wilson, between
Yeah,
Marvin Harrison, now Jeremiah Smith. Like, and they're gonna have first dibs on that one. It feels like.
yeah. I mean, 10.72 100-meter speed.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, he's not just a great wide receiver, but he's a tremendous cornerback as well.
Oh
Has
yeah.
the length, speed, tremendous ball skill. I mean, he's gonna no matter what he ends up at the next level, he's gonna be a ridiculous player and a playmaker.
Mhm. Going through the rest of the list, Khalil Taylor, the Pennsylvania kid, we already talked about, so we don't really have to touch much on that.
Good
Offensive
prospect.
lineman Leighton Von Brandt kind of intrigues me because he plays high school with Jasir Rogers, who's a 2026 wide receiver commit, and
Yeah,
he's been to campus a few times already. I don't
yeah.
think he pops, but
I think this is his third visit, at least.
since April, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, this is one of those we say with 2027 kids. I'm not saying this is going to be Layden. I don't think it's going to be Jameer Brown either. But uh, always worth knowing 20s, 27 kids, a lot can happen in their development, in their recruitment.
Hmm.
But early on, Penn State's definitely in a good spot here, I think, with Layden Von Brand. He definitely likes Penn State. We've talked to him in the past. He's loved his visits. And he's definitely, as a prospect right now, somebody who really grabs Penn State's attention, and not just Penn State's attention. He has offers from Boston College, Georgia,
Hmm.
Indiana, Rutgers, Syracuse, West Virginia. Um, and, you look at that like Indiana offer.
Hmm.
I think Indiana is going to be one of those schools we start having to look at as I'm not saying as a threat to Penn State, but
No, I know what
if
you
they
mean though.
offer a kid early, it's probably a good sign that that kid has a lot of potential and is pretty good. Um, because Kirk Cignetti has been one of the best talent identifiers in the country at the FCS and FBS levels now for the last for as long as he's been a head coach. Um, you know, with my other stuff that I do, I've known plenty of kids who have ended up going like James Madison and have ended up being really good players for them. And it wasn't a surprise because, that James Madison did a great job of finding those undervalued kids, taking advantage of those recruitments, landing them, and turning them to studs. I think he's going to do similar at Indiana. Obviously, he's already gotten the Hoosiers off to a good start this year. But uh,
Hmm.
just a side note there about Indiana and their early offers, I think going forward. So it could be, Penn State's been one of those programs for a long time. Indiana is going to be, I think, one of those as well.
They'll be
Um,
up there.
but I mean, if
Oh,
Georgia
go on.
offers you, that's
Yeah, of
also a
course.
pretty good indication.
Moving on a little bit, Riley Drew's coming up from Georgia. Speaking of Georgia, Grayson High School, one of the top programs, talent producing programs in the country
Yeah,
every single year in and year out. He's got a couple Power Five offers. He's definitely gonna be someone to watch. It's good to get him on campus. I don't think, again, 2027 kids. I don't really think you can do
it's
much with.
yeah,
It's just, and then
it
2028, there's kids
there's
coming too. So it's
yeah,
like,
there's very few Keenan spells out there, where,
yeah.
one, Penn State feels comfortable taking a kid that early in the recruitment, and
Hmm.
two, a kid is ready to make that level of decision. You look at the kids that Penn State has taken that early in a recruitment in the last few years. I mean, um, Cooper Cousins was pretty early. Uh,
That was a really early one.
he was early. Keeman Spell was early. Messiah Mickens was early. Um,
Messiah Mickens was very early too. Yeah, I mean,
um,
it's gonna be interesting, to say the
Micah
least.
Parsons was very early. So I mean, when they take them, they usually turn out to be pretty damn good
Highly ranked
prospects.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really here. I don't see anybody here who's gonna jump off the page. Jimmy Callis, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, definitely a kid to monitor over the next few
Central
years.
Catholic. I'm
Um,
looking at you.
yeah, Central
And then the
Catholic.
camera or whatever he said. I forget.
Um, after James's comments in practice this week, not does not hold a Penn State offer yet, but he has visit Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, Rutgers, Virginia Tech, Wisconsin, and then holds offers from West Virginia, Pittsburgh, North Carolina State, Duke, Maryland. So emerging as a prospect to know regionally, uh, likely going to end up at Power Four school eventually. We'll just see if that's a middle of the pack Power Four school, or if these big dogs get involved eventually. But a name to monitor within the state for sure.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's the entire list. We kind of broke it down for it. I shouldn't say the entire list. Skipped over some names, but if you
Yeah, I
want to
mean
see that list,
this
like
it,
Dylan
it
said,
should be 40, 50 guys by the time uh, game time. At least
kickoff.
40 to 50 guys game time tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you want to check out that full list, go over the rankings and see what offers these kids have. Go to pennstate.rivals.com. If you don't have a membership already, use the promo code 30 rivals, 30 RIVALS, and you get free 30-day trial. As always, we always ask you, if you're listening to this, check us out on social media. Check us out on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button down below. Help us grow the pod, helps us grow the network, and helps us keep producing more of these. So, but anything else, real quick, before we sign off, Dylan? Or
No, I think that's all we got. Stay tuned for in the coming days. We're gonna definitely get more back into the recruiting side of things on these podcasts, and we're gonna be talking about Penn State's top targets at each position in the 2026 class shortly as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And then, of course, go over to PennStateRivals.com. Sign up for that 30-day free trial,
yep.
and you won't want to cancel after that. That's a promise.
All right. So for me and Dylan, that's another episode of Penn State 365 podcast. Signing off.